Hi, Aqua Roomers. It's time for chapter reading. If you remember, Pa built the chimney. So I'm going to show you a picture. See? He went down to the creek bottoms and he hauled all of those big rocks to build up the chimney. And then, when we ended, Ma had said, "Why don't you do stick and daub?" And I told you we would talk about that. So, above the big rocks from here up the rest of the way, Pa would build sticks, and then he would cake thick mud all over. And mud can be really hard and dry, strong and firm, especially if it's around sticks. And that is called stick and daub. And if you have ever been to Plymouth Plantation here in Massachusetts, all of those houses, everything was made with stick and daub. So, ready for chapter reading? "You've done well to build that chimney up so high all by yourself," Ma said. She ran her hand through his hair and stood it up more than ever. "Why don't you make stick and daub the rest of the way?" she asked him. "Well, it would be easier," he admitted. "I'm blamed if I don't believe I will." He jumped up. Ma said, "Oh, stay here in the shade and rest a while." Oh, but he shook his head. "No use lazing here while there's work to be done, Caroline. The sooner I get the fireplace done, the sooner you can do your cooking inside, out of the wind." He hauled saplings from the woods, and he cut and notched them and laid them up like the walls of the house on top of the stone chimney. As he laid them, he plastered them well with mud, and that finished the chimney. Then he went into the house, and with his axe, he saw and he cut a hole in the wall. He cut away the logs that had made the fourth wall at the bottom of the chimney, and there was the fireplace. It was large enough for Laura and Mary and baby Carrie to sit in. Its bottom was the ground that Pa had cleared of grass, and its front was the space where Pa had cut away the logs. Across the top of that space was the log that Pa had plastered all over with mud. On each side, Pa pegged a thick slab of green oak against the cut ends of the logs. Then, by the upper corners of the fireplace, he pegged chunks of oak to the wall, and then on these he laid an oak slab and pegged it firmly. That was the mantel shelf. As soon as it was done, Ma set in the middle of the mantel shelf the little china woman she had brought from the big woods. See? The little china woman had come all the way and had not been broken. She stood on the mantel shelf with her little china shoes and her wide china skirts and her tight china bodice and her pink cheeks and blue eyes and golden hair, all made of china. Then Pa and Ma and Mary and Laura stood and admired that fireplace. Only Carrie did not care about it. She pointed at the little china woman and yelled when Mary and Laura told her that no one but Ma could touch it. "You'll have to be careful with your fire, Caroline," Pa said. "We don't want sparks going up the chimney to set the roof on fire. That cloth would burn easy. I'll split out some clapboards as soon as I can and make a roof you won't have to worry about. So Ma carefully built a little fire in the new fireplace, and she roasted a prairie hen for supper, and that evening they ate in the house. They sat at the table by the western window. Pa had quickly made the table of 2 slabs of oak. One end of the slabs stuck in a crack of the wall, and the other end rested on short upright logs. Pa had smoothed the slabs with his axe, and the table was very nice when Ma spread a cloth over it. The chairs were chunks of big logs. The floor was the earth that Ma had swept clean with her willow broom. On the floor, in the corners, the beds were neat under their patchwork quilts. The rays of the setting sun came through the window and filled the house with golden light. Outside and far, far away, to the pink edge of the sky, the wind went blowing and the wild grasses waved. Inside, the house was pleasant. The good roast chicken was juicy in Laura's mouth. Her hands and face were washed. Her hair was combed. Her napkin was tied around her neck. She sat up straight on the round end of log and used her knife and fork nicely, as Ma had taught her. She did not say anything because children must not speak at the table until they are spoken to. But she looked at Pa and Ma and Mary and at baby Carrie in Ma's lap, and she felt contented. It was nice to be living in a house again. Oh, the next chapter, a roof and a floor. Oh, do you want to see the picture of, here's Laura and Mary. Oh, look, they're playing with bunnies and prairie chickens. Oh my goodness, looks like lots of fun. All day long, every day, Laura and Mary were busy. When the dishes were washed and the beds were made, there was always plenty to do and see and to listen to. They hunted for birds' nests in the tall grass, and when they found them, the mother birds squawked and scolded. Sometimes they touched a nest gently, and all in an instant, a nest full of downiness became a nest full of wide, gaping beaks, hungrily squawking. Then the mother bird scolded like anything, and Mary and Laura quietly went away because they did not want to worry her too much. In the tall grass, they lay still as mice and watched flocks of little prairie chickens running and pecking around. They watched striped snakes rippling between the grass stems or lying so still that only their tiny flickering tongues and glittering eyes showed that they were alive. There were garter snakes, and they would not hurt anybody, but Laura and Mary did not touch them. Ma said snakes were best left alone because some snakes would bite, and it was better to be safe than sorry. I know, I liked to play with garter snakes when I was a little girl. And sometimes there would be a great gray rabbit, so still in the light and shadow of a grass clump that you were near enough to touch him before you saw him. Then, if you were very quiet, you might stand a long time looking at him. His round eyes stared at yours without meaning anything. His nose wriggled, and sunlight was rosy through his long ears that had delicate veins in them, and the softest short fur on their outsides The rest of his fur was so thick and soft that at last you couldn't help trying very carefully to touch it. Then he was gone in a flash, and the place where he had been sitting was hollowed and smooth and still warm from his behind. All the time, of course, Laura and Mary was minding baby Carrie, except when she had her afternoon nap. Then they sat and soaked in the sunshine and the wind until Laura forgot that the baby was sleeping. She jumped up and ran and shouted till Ma came to the door and said, "Dear me, Laura, must you yell like an Indian?" "I declare," Ma said, "if you girls aren't getting to look like Indians, can I never teach you to keep your sunbonnets on?" Why do you think Ma said that? Well, Indians have skin that is darker, and if they don't have their sunbonnets on, they're going to get a tan. Pa was up on the house wall beginning the roof. He looked down at them and laughed. "One little Indian, two little Indians, three little Indians," he sang softly. "No, only two. You make three," Mary said to him. "You're brown, too." "But you aren't little, Pa," said Laura. Pa, when are we going to see a papoose?" "Goodness," Ma exclaimed. "What do you want to see an Indian baby for? Put on your sunbonnet now and forget such nonsense." See, Ma just isn't sure because she thinks they're different. And we've talked about this before. Sometimes people are a little worried or apprehensive about somebody that's very, very different. Laura's sunbonnet hung down her back. She pulled it up by its strings, and its sides came past her cheeks. When her sunbonnet was on, she could only see what was in front of her, and that was why she was always pushing it back and letting it hang by strings tied around her throat. She put her sunbonnet on, and when Ma told her to, but she did not forget about the papoose. She wants to see one. This was Indian country, and she didn't know why she didn't see Indians. She knew she would see them sometime, though. Pa said so, but she was getting tired of waiting. Pa had taken the canvas wagon top off the house, and now he was getting ready to put the roof on. For days and days, he'd been hauling logs from the creek bottoms and splitting them into thin, long slabs. Piles of slabs lay all around the house, and slabs stood against it. "Come out of the house, Caroline," he said. "I don't want to risk anything falling on you or Carrie." "Wait, Charles, till I put away the china shepherdess," Ma answered. In a minute she came out with a quilt and her mending and baby Carrie. She spread the quilt on the shady grass by the stable and sat there to do her mending and watch Carrie play. Pa reached down and pulled up a slab. He laid it across the ends of the sapling rafters. Its edge stuck out beyond the wall. Then Pa put some nails in his mouth, took his hammer out of his belt, and he began to nail the slab to the rafters. Oh, let's take a look at this. See? Wow. And these are all of the big slabs that Pa had cut. And now he's nailing them to the rafters, and the canvas top is gone. So we have lots more to read the next time, all about the roof and, oh, so many things. Thank you, boys and girls. Great day for chapter reading. Bye.